Good morning, students. Today we are going to play a game. You just say the color of the word which is mentioned and not the word. So, are you ready? Let's begin. Was this confusing? Was your brain put to test? I know it was. Such a way we are going to learn about the important organ of the body, the brain, in today's class. Before getting into the topic brain, first we will see about the membrane which covers the brain, what it is called as meninges. The term meninges comes from the Greek word meaning membrane. There are three membranes that surrounds the brain. They are dura, arachnoid and pia mater. Meninges protect and provide the structural support for the brain. The outermost layer is the dura mater, and this layer is thick and tough layer and adhered to the skull, and the another end which has been surrounded by the arachnoid layer. Beyond that, the dura mater which will give the protection. And arachnoid matter get its name because it looks like a spider web, that is a cobweb. It is very thin than that of the dura mater, and it contains the strand-like tissue which is called as arachnoid trabeculae. And arachnoid and pia mater which has been separated by a thin space which is called as subarachnoid space, which is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. Third layer, which is called as a pia mater, that is the innermost membrane and which you see near to the brain, which is very thin layer and it is highly vascularized. We will enter into the topic brain. Right. Have you wondered what are the parts which is present in the brain and its function? What you are looking at in the picture is the section of the brain. The brain which possesses two major hemispheres, right? And we can broadly divide the brain into three major parts. The first one is the forebrain, which has been shown with a yellow color, and followed by the second region is the midbrain, shaded with a pink color, and the last one is the hindbrain, shown in a blue color shade. Once if you talk about the brain, the largest part is the forebrain. And the next is the midbrain, that is the first region of the brain stem. The next is the brain stem. What you said is the brain stem is the hindbrain which connects the brain towards the spinal cord. Okay, and again the midbrain which is the preliminary region of the hindbrain. The hindbrain, it contains not only the brain stem, along with that one more region it contains what it is called as a cerebellum. Cerebellum also comes along with the hindbrain. Okay, now before moving to that, first we will see what is the major function performed by these organs, parts. Right, number one, first we will see about the forebrain. That is a voluntary action has been controlled by the forebrain, and midbrain and hindbrain by with the involuntary action. What is a voluntary? Which we perform the action under the conscious, with the consciousness, that is thinking, walking, jumping, all these things comes under the voluntary action, right? All these controlled by the forebrain. Forebrain controls the voluntary. Involuntary, that means the things which occurs without the consciousness. So such as digestion and also heartbeat, all these things comes under the involuntary action. If you look into the forebrain, you can find two sections, that is outer with foldings and the inner section. Right, so I will talk in the inner section just for your verification. Right, so two sections, that is outer, that is with foldings, and the inner section. The outer section is called as the cerebrum, right? The outer section, which is called as a cerebrum, it has two hemispheres and is connected by the corpus callosum, right? You can find more foldings in that cerebrum. And now we are going to see about the inner section. The inner section contains three major division. The inner section with the three division. The first is with the lower area, right? That is called as a thalamus. And next, just lower to that thalamus is the second one. And you can find that the one more thing which we can find it in the lower area, that is a small round body, right? So we will see what is the first one. Yeah, that is called as as I said, thalamus, right? So what is the first region? That is a thalamus. Yeah, just see the thalamus. The roof of the thalamus is the epithalamus, and followed by the next region is the thalamus region. And next to the thalamus region, you can find which is present lower to that of the thalamus, which is called as a hypothalamus. What it is called? Hypothalamus. Hypo means lower, right? So next to the thalamus area, which is called as a hypothalamus. And the last, the small round shaped body, which is called as a pituitary, right? The pituitary body that has the control over the endocrine system. What is endocrine? The production of the hormone, right? So the pituitary gland is called as a master gland. Okay, so these are all the four major areas which comes under the forebrain. What are they? Cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland. Now we are going to see about the lobes which is present in the cerebrum. Just see the image. Yeah, each side of the brain is divided into 4 lobes. And see the first one, that is a frontal lobe, that is responsible for planning and thinking, and also for language production, and also it is used for the emotional stability. The next one is the temporal lobe, responsible for sound recognition, visual object recognition, and also for memory formation. The third one is a parietal lobe, used for the spatial perception, multisensory integration, and also speech recognition. And the last one, that is the occipital lobe, which is used for the vision and visual memory. Now let us see the functions of the forebrain, right? So into that, the first one is a thinking. Thinking, it includes learning and also the ability for speaking, everything which may comes under the skill called as thinking, which controls under by the forebrain. Okay, so thinking. And one more thing, I'll show a picture. Can you see that? And can you find what it is? It is a puppy, right? So how can you find it? Yeah, through your eyes you can find, and that image has been given to the brain, and the brain recognizes that as a puppy. So, and not only that, and what I'm speaking also can you hear? So all the sense organs, the sensing function comes under the forebrain. So the next one is a sensing. The next one is a sensing, thinking, sensing, and also just to see the picture. On seeing that, immediately you could find, is it a donkey, cat? No, immediately you find that as a puppy. That is because of your remembering on seeing the image, you could remember. So that also comes under the forebrain, that is memory, thinking, sensing, memory. And on seeing the puppy, like you can find, wow, how nice it looks like, right? So the emotion, how you are expressing the emotion, no, that also comes under the forebrain. Okay, so thinking, sensing, memory, and also the emotions, right? The emotion means like a feeling happy, tensed, stressed time, showing angry, everything which comes under the emotion comes under the control of forebrain. Beyond that, there's some more functions like feeling very hungry, right? If you feel you are hunger, then that also comes under the control of forebrain, feeling hungry. And even if you feel sleepy, and also once like a thirstiness, and once if you take the food, you feel that it is filled, right? So the fullness, all these comes under the functions of forebrain, that is thinking, sensing, memory, emotions, hunger, sleepy, and also fullness. now we are going to see about the hindbrain. Okay, so see the image here. Like this brainstem has been divided into two major areas, right? Can you see that? The first area and followed by the next one, right? So the first one, what it is called as pons, right? Pons means bridge. It acts as a bridge between the cerebrum and cerebellum. So in the first region, what it is called as pons. Okay, it connects the forebrain to the spinal cord. And the second region, can you see that in the brainstem, the second region, which is called as the medulla oblongata. Okay, the medulla oblongata, usually it will communicate to the posteriorly with the spinal cord. Okay, and medulla oblongata is a very important one. Why? Because it contains a reflex action also. The third one, which is called as a cerebellum. Yeah, you can see the cerebellum, right? So the cerebellum, don't confuse this cerebellum with the one more part, what it is called as cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, and here what I said is a cerebellum, right? So these three comes under the hindbrain. Now we are going to see about the functions of these, right? That is medulla oblongata, pons and cerebellum. So first we will see about the medulla oblongata, right? We will see the functions of medulla oblongata. Life-giving. Medulla oblongata function is life-giving. Why? Because it has the control over the involuntary actions. Involuntary actions like what? The heartbeat and all, as I said, sneezing, jerking, all these comes under the medulla oblongata. That is involuntary action, and also the reflex action comes under the function of medulla oblongata. Okay, so what is the major function performed by the medulla oblongata? One is the involuntary action, and also the reflex action also comes under the medulla oblongata. Okay, the next is about the cerebellum. This is the second largest part of the brain and also divided into two cerebral hemisphere. Okay, the cerebellar hemisphere also possesses two, and it forms like a small leaf-like structure, and the major function of that is balance. Okay, balance in the sense, for example, while walking, while writing, whatever may be, there may be need some balance that can be controlled under cerebellum. Balance, and so that only usually they used to say should not drink and drive, because the person once if they drink and drive means automatically it affect the motor memory. Okay, so the motor memory effect means automatically they cannot balance, right? So the balance and motor memory will comes under the function of cerebellum. Okay, third is about the pons. It will control the respiration and also acts as a relay center. Respiration and act as a relay center. Third one, what we are going to see is the midbrain. Okay, so midbrain, which contains the corpora quadrigemina. That is, there are 4 round swellings which is present in that, like a 2 superior colliculi and the 2 is the inferior colliculi. Superior colliculi controls the visual reflex and the inferior colliculi controls the auditory reflex. If you see the full screen which has been displayed here will make you to summarize all the content what we studied today, that is structure and functions of the brain. I think you all enjoyed the class and I hope that you got a clear idea about the structure and the functions of the brain. Thank you, children.